Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Since upload on Friday, things between Elon and Trump have calmed down significantly. Trump had a few quick comments late Friday night, and this was when reporters were asking very gotcha-like questions, giving Trump every opportunity to attack Elon or express any frustration toward him, which Trump did not do at all.
Do you have any plans to contact?
I hope he does well with Tesla.
So Trump was effectively just wishing Elon and Tesla well. On that sentiment of Trump wishing Elon well, Elon responded saying likewise. Then JD Vance said hopefully Elon figures it out and comes back. The president is a little frustrated, but he's actually been restrained because he does not want to be in a blood feud with Elon. I think if Elon chills out a little bit, everything will be fine. Elon replied to that saying, cool. Then Elon was joking a bit, saying it's outrageous how much character assassination has been directed at me, especially by me. So basically taking some blame for everything that went down. On Friday, the word was Trump was going to sell or get rid of the Tesla, but it sounds like that's no longer the case.
No, I haven't heard that. I mean, I may move the Tesla around a little bit, but I don't think we'll be doing that with Starlink. It's a good service.
Where are you going to move it to? Move it around, what do you mean?
I have a lot of locations.
Actually, about the Tesla.
I got so many locations, I don't know what to do with them all. Look, I wish him well. You understand. We had a good relationship, and I just wish him well. Very well, actually.
Farzad wrote an open letter to Elon over the weekend, and the main sentiment was we all need to be inspired that a better future is still in front of us and all the work we've put in this far was worth it. I think recapturing that energy will maximize the most positive outcome for civilization. To which Elon said, noted. And Elon also deleted the post about the Epstein list. So it feels like the escalation is over. Elon seems to feel bad about what he did and said. Trump seems to have largely forgiven Elon. Not that he's forgotten, but there's definitely a place for these two to be friends again in time, and for now it feels like they're neutral, which really isn't the worst thing. I think the chances of Trump targeting Tesla in any regulatory way are incredibly low. Trump said he wants Tesla to succeed, and as I shared on X, Trump will want economic growth and tech leadership more than he wants any sort of revenge on Elon. I think Elon will calibrate and get back to focusing on his companies, and Elon having a bit of distance from Trump may actually be a better thing for Tesla's brand in the long run. Ultimately, just not being so tied to politics. So for now, we seem to be mostly in the clear. Nothing fundamental has changed for Tesla, and another 2 or 3 weeks from now, and this is largely likely going to be a thing of the past. If you go to the Austin, Texas government website and go to autonomous vehicles, scrolling down, under known AV operators in Austin, you will now see Tesla listed in the testing phase. On the website, they also have a dashboard covering all of the incidents for these autonomous vehicles, and you can filter by company and by year. In Austin, dating back to July 2023, there have only been a total of 110 incidents, and to be clear, that's different from accidents. An incident could be a safety concern, blocking traffic, a near miss, a nuisance, ignoring police direction, or a collision. And there have only been 8 collisions over the past 2 years. So while it's good to see Tesla officially listed, we of course have already known they've been in this testing phase now for some time. So I'm not sure this means they've been granted a new license, but it's certainly possible. And shout out to Tesla Yoda because he's the one that actually saw this, as he said he's been checking this page now regularly for some time, and today was the first day, June 9th. However, seeing Tesla officially listed is of course a step in the right direction.
In a letter sent to Tesla in May, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration asked the company to explain how it plans to operate safely. Questions focused on things like crash reporting, complying with traffic safety laws, and automated responses to emergencies. NHTSA asked how the robotaxis will safely operate in low visibility, like sun glare, fog, rain, or snow. Those conditions tied to previous accidents involving the company's driver assistance software. KXAN reached out to see if NHTSA heard back. The agency told us its investigation remains open and that Tesla's response must be submitted by June 19th. Any updates will be posted in the investigation file online.
Now, will Tesla actually launch this Thursday? It's only 3 days away, and I know some people are thinking if they were, wouldn't they be doing more advertising about the service? Maybe, but just remember they're only going to start with between 10 to 20 vehicles, so it's probably not going to be hard to fill that supply with some demand whenever they do decide to officially launch. Tesla's now sending out emails to some customers saying ready for anything with long range, seating for up to 7 and enough room for everyone's gear, so that 7-seater Model Y seems to be right around the corner. It's not exactly clear when or in what markets, but if you're in the market and you were looking for that, I would say just hold tight until we get more information, hopefully very soon.
So yes, and now our prediction, the stock is, I'm not going to be exactly right on this, $270, $280. Our prediction in 5 years is $2,600. And 90% of that valuation comes not from the electric vehicle, but from this Robotaxi platform. Because the electric car, if you think about it, is, a one-shot sale. Sell and hope they come back when they're replacing their car. One other thing about Tesla, though, in that $2,600 number, we do not include much for humanoid robots. Now, this is happening faster than we thought. And the reason it's happening faster is humanoid robots, they are the convergence of the same 3 technologies or innovation platforms as robotaxis. Robots, robotics, so actuators and so forth, getting them to work. Energy storage, battery operated, and AI. So Tesla's way ahead of the game on humanoid robots, and yet we have very little. Now, Elon thinks that the humanoid robot business is going to dwarf the robotaxi business, and we think he's right, but longer term. So, as I mentioned, we expect all in, around the world, including China, not just Tesla, but the entire ecosystem, an $8 to $10 trillion market in the next 5 to 10 years. For humanoid robots, we expect a $26 trillion revenue market. Now, that's going to be a little further along. Robotaxis will happen faster, but it may not be as distant as we were once thinking.
An article from South Korea last week said Tesla is expanding its domestic workforce by recruiting people from the government as well as cybersecurity and insurance experts to ease related regulations and secure a technology base ahead of the introduction of FSD. They said Tesla's currently announcing the expansion of FSD in the US, China, and Europe, as we know, and is also preparing to launch in Korea. Currently, commercial operation of vehicles above level 4 for fully autonomous driving is restricted in Korea, and commercial use of high-precision map data and real-time updates are also subject to legal restrictions. But Tesla is expected to begin full-scale cooperation with the government to remove these restrictions. Tesla is also hiring experts to develop and operate self-driving car insurance products in Korea. But oddly enough, to conclude the article, they said, however, there is also a view that Tesla's domestic introduction of FSD will not be easy. That's because the reputation of the relevant ministries and the auto industry is not good due to the negligence in responding to domestic regulations. Now, perhaps some positions have already been filled, but the only job listings for Korea would be an IT intern, but there is a government relations manager, a supplier engineer for purchasing, and a financial services and insurance manager. So this does not have to mean that FSD is going to be launched anytime soon. It may not even happen in 25 in South Korea, but the ball is indeed moving. Speaking of Tesla hiring, there are currently 20 job listings for the new Megapack factory in Brookshire, Texas. And we shared the video footage of this site over the past 2 weeks. It's gotten very little media coverage, if any, but for now, all signs are still pointing to early production from this third global mega factory sometime in the second half of next year. We got the export and domestic breakdown for Tesla China for May. It was 38,588 domestic and 23,074 export. Thus, domestically, January through May, Tesla China is now down 7.8%, whereas the month prior, they were down 0.3%. And then on the export side, January through May, Tesla China is now down 33.4%, but it's actually an improvement from the reading last month, which was down 43%. And if you wanted to compare to May of last year, the domestic number was just over 55,200 and exports were just over 17,300. So this May, the export number was up, but the domestic number was down. And as Roland said, this was a relatively high number for exports for the second month of the quarter. It's also the first time the new Model Y Juniper has been exported. And that's what we've been saying all along. It's going to take time for Tesla to get this new Model Y into inventory across the EU and other locations outside of China. And what do you know? The Model Y has reclaimed the best-selling SUV crown for May in China. But I always like to zoom out, so January through May this year, Tesla has sold 126.6 thousand Model Ys in China, and in second place so far is the BYD Song Plus at just over 110,500. What this means is year to date, despite the changeover to the new Model Y in quarter 1 and impacting quarter 2, the Model Y is still the best-selling SUV in China domestically. So yes, the Model Y seems to be rebounding and picking up steam quite well. But of course, Giga Shanghai as a whole is still going to be showing weakness after the changeover in quarter 1. So, as has been the case, the real question is going to be how much of this weakness can Tesla make up in the back half of this year. We also touched on this news last week, and Charles said due to the recent release of new EV purchase quotas in Beijing, Tesla showrooms have seen a significant increase in foot traffic over the past few days. For 4 days over the last 2 weekends, Charles actually volunteered at a Tesla showroom in China. This was shared this weekend, so we'll see if that plays out in the data over the next 2 to 3 weeks. There was an undocumented change in software 2025.20.3 that is rolling out to hardware for vehicles. Your vehicle's backup camera feed in the camera app now includes a button to toggle between the original narrow view and the new wider view. Additionally, the side camera feeds have been enlarged to provide a wider field of view. The EV price wars in China are causing even more chaos, as the government is continuing to do whatever it can to prevent this from turning into a vicious spiral, and analysts say a combination of weaker demand and extreme overcapacity will slice into profits, even at the strongest brands, and force feebler competitors to fold. The industry is still using less than half of its production capacity. A Bank of America analyst said what you're seeing in China is disturbing because there's a lack of demand and extreme price cutting. Eventually, there will be massive consolidation to soak up the excess capacity. We've heard that narrative now the past 2 weeks, but I wanted to share this chart. It shows the change in car prices since 2023 of the top 30 best-selling models in China. As you can see on the left for the Chinese brands, every single brand other than one, which is gray and unlisted, is actually down from the price where it was in 2023. And many of them actually down between 10 and 30%. And on the right for foreign brands, it's actually a very similar scenario. There's only one vehicle with a price higher than where it was in 2023, and you guessed it, that's the Model Y. Now yes, that is largely thanks to the refresh and the new pricing, but I think this chart was very telling that in a brutal price war competition environment in China, Tesla has managed to do quite well. It's to the point where analysts are saying that US automakers should just get out. Tesla probably needs to be there to compete with those companies and understand what's going on, but there's a lot of risk there for them. And they're saying BYD wants a monopoly where everybody else gives up. Their aggressive tactics are raising concerns over the potential dumping of cars, dealership management issues, and squeezing out suppliers. In the UK, that controversial electric vehicle tax that was just put in place in April of 2025 now appears to be on the chopping block. Lawmakers have already begun to feel the pressure from EV manufacturers in the UK regarding the expensive car supplement, it's called. Yes, this is the one that they call the Tesla tax. They did say the reversal likely would not take effect until the next budget in the fall, but it may help give EV sales a much needed shot in the arm. On Thursday and Friday, investors poured $651 million into TSLL, the Direxion Daily Tesla Bull 2X shares. That number marked the biggest weekly inflow since the fund's debut in 2022. I'm sure most of you have seen the madness that's taking place in LA. Part of that madness was 5 Waymo vehicles being completely destroyed by being set on fire, and they're saying that the total value of these vehicles was $900,000. So if that's true, that would tell us the average cost of one Waymo is about $180,000, aka over 3 times more expensive than your average Tesla vehicle and likely 6 times more expensive than Tesla's Cybercab will be. Now, Pierre Ferguson said, "I'm still struggling with the implications of Optimus, watching it on YouTube, learning how to do it with reinforcement learning in simulation, and nailing it 0 shot. This is the most important AI breakthrough of the year, I would say. The implications go well beyond humanoid robots." But don't forget, Tesla talking about Optimus learning through watching YouTube videos is not here yet. That's the breakthrough that Elon said he sees on the horizon. But again, to be very clear, Optimus is not yet learning from watching YouTube videos, but the Tesla team believes they can get there relatively soon. Remember, the last Optimus update we got, it was learning through human videos and specifically through the first-person point of view, not yet from YouTube videos. However, yes, I think it's fair to say that this should be coming relatively soon. On that point, in case you missed it, Figure did put out a 1-hour video of its robot doing uninterrupted work, and yes, they're saying this was end-to-end using its Helix network, which does not use manual code in the traditional sense. They said in the last few months, we've advanced our Helix neural network, which in logistics is now capable of new package types, 20% faster package handling, 35% higher barcode scanning success, and adaptive behaviors like patting down packages. They said as we scaled from 10 to 60 hours of training data, we saw the time to package drop from 6.3 to 4.3 seconds, and barcode scanning accuracy improved from 88% to 95%. And look, I know there's plenty of people out there cutting this down, saying it's not that useful, we don't need a humanoid to do this type of work, but at the end of the day, we just have to remember everything needs to start somewhere. And so all of those criticisms aside, I think it's still pretty cool what Figure has accomplished in a relatively short amount of time. And I'll keep saying it, the addressable market for these humanoids is so massive that we can have multiple companies winning in massive ways. So not everything needs to be this comparison of Tesla versus Figure. I know it's going to happen regardless, but it doesn't have to be that way. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, we have such limited public information about what's really going on at Tesla behind the scenes and at Figure behind the scenes and manufacturing plans. It's just going to be difficult to get a read on who's really going to break into what markets first and to what scale, but all I know is it'll be enjoyable to watch it all unfold, and both Figure and Tesla again can have massive success. Tesla stock closed the day at $308.58, up 4.55%, while the NDX was up 0.17%. The volume was 25% above the average. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.